Sometimes making business decisions can be really hard. Do we hire this person? Do we add or remove this particular feature from our product? These are just some of the decisions that people who run a business have to do very, very often. So wouldn't it be nice to have a sort of compass to use to help us to make those decisions? Well, it turns out every business lives and dies by just 4 financial metrics. And these are the 4 metrics that should drive your business decisions. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use those 4 financial metrics as a filter that's making better and better choices. If you don't know me, my name is Andrea for leadsandconversion.com, and since 2013 I've been helping online business like yours to grow and make more money online. So when talking to businesses, whether it is a startup or a well-established business, we always end up looking at these 4 financial metrics. So let's see them in detail. The first one is acquisition cost. Now, this is a no-brainer. Every business needs customers in order to work, in order to make money, and acquiring customers as a cost. So this is a cost for your business and you have to take that into account. Now the second cost is fulfillment cost. Every business makes a promise to its customers and then this promise has to be delivered. So the fulfillment cost is the cost to fulfill this promise. And then we have operational cost, which is all the costs that you need to bear to run the business. So these costs are not part of the fulfillment cost, they are not part of the acquisition cost, but are costs like accounting and buying hardware, software, all the things you really need to run the business. Now, many put labor inside operational cost. I disagree. I believe that labor is part of the fulfillment cost, and I will explain you why in a few slides. It's actually a very important distinction because framing it the way I frame it, it can help you to reduce the fulfillment cost. So, and last, you have the revenue. Now, revenue, of course, is not a cost. It's the thing that has to cover all the costs plus profit. All right, and money for taxes. So we broke the entire business into 4 components, 3 components of cost and 1 component of revenue. Now we can bring this one step further. I invite you to think about what is commonly known as customer lifetime value and customer acquisition cost. This is just the total acquisition cost divided by the number of customers, and the CLTV, the customer lifetime value, is not exactly the revenue divided by the number of customers, but that's pretty close. So in a time frame, a given time frame, this is a good approximation anyway. So what I want to suggest here is that we can get similar metrics for these other 2 components of cost, and we can have the customer fulfillment cost, which is a very helpful metric because it actually tells us how much it costs per customer to fulfill on our promises. And the other component of cost is the customer operational cost, which is the total operational cost divided the number of customers. Now here comes the interesting part. Every action we take with our business, every decision we make, it has to do one of these 4 things. Either decrease one of these metrics or increase the customer lifetime value. If the decision we are about to make doesn't do any of this, well, it's the wrong decision. We shouldn't make it. I'll repeat this. Every decision you make with your business, whether it is to hire somebody or to add features or to make a marketing campaign, it has to either decrease the costs or to increase the revenue. If you don't know which one of these 4 is affected by your decision, then you shouldn't make this decision at all. Just do nothing, it's better. Now I want to make you an example of how these 4 metrics change in different industries. So let's take digital products. This is the case in which the company is selling courses online, for example. So you have very little fulfillment cost because basically the platform is doing all the work. You have very little operational cost, and then all the cost you have basically is the cost of acquiring the customers, and this generates a pretty good customer lifetime value. Now, this setup is simple, and this is why today businesses that sell digital products are becoming more and more popular, just because they have no fulfillment cost and almost no operational cost, so they are easy to start. Now, the other type of business is e-commerce. E-commerce is different because it has a very high fulfillment cost. You have a product which costs money, and you have to ship it and you have to handle it. So there is quite a sensible amount of fulfillment there. Cost of acquisition is a little bit lower because people go to the e-commerce platform with the intention to buy, so it's a bit easier to acquire them. There is not much operational cost, and the customer lifetime value is what it is, usually pretty high for e-commerce. Now, another type of really popular business is SaaS, software as a service. And here you see you have the customer acquisition cost, which is quite high, the customer fulfillment cost, which is quite high, and we'll see in a moment why, and then you have a small operational cost, and the customer lifetime value is what it is. Now, the reason why the cost of fulfillment here is high is because I consider labor for a SaaS company to be part of fulfillment. As I said before, many would put this cost into the operational cost, but to me, the labor is necessary in a SaaS company because it has to support the particular offer that you are making to your clients. And all the costs that are generated by your offer should go in the fulfillment. Because if you were offering another thing, or you were offering a similar thing but in a different way, you wouldn't need all that development. You get it? So this means that by changing your offering, you can actually change your fulfillment cost, and this is always true. So when you define the product you are selling, you decide on which depth you want to dive. So in other words, if your fulfillment costs are too high and you are having a problem with that, all you need to do is to change your offer. And this is pretty powerful, right? Okay, let's see the last one, which is consulting. And consulting still has a quite hefty cost of acquisition, but then it has this massive fulfillment cost because it's very labor intensive. It's like a highly skilled labor that's just people working and doing the calls and doing the consulting work, and that is fulfillment cost. And you see that if I change the offer, well, the fulfillment cost would go down. I could switch and sell courses instead of consulting, which would be different, but then the fulfillment cost changes considerably. So now you should understand how these four metrics are moving, and some of them are more important than others, and how by changing the offer, we can actually change the metrics. Now, we have seen that the customer lifetime value is always the most important because it has to cover all the rest, and the operational cost is actually always the smallest. So I like to put weights on these metrics, and when I put weights to something, I always use Fibonacci series, just to give different weights to the different components of the equation I'm trying to evaluate. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 5, CLTV being the one with the biggest weight and COC being the one with the smallest. Now, the customer acquisition cost and the customer fulfillment cost, that really depends on the type of business. So in your case, you may want to switch the 3 and the 2 here, but they are kind of comparable. So, but in the end, I think this distribution of weights here is pretty fair. So why are we using these weights? What do we want to do with that? I'm going to bring you an example of 12 services you can buy for your business, or if you want activities you can execute in your business. And we're going to see what those activities are changing. So take, for example, branding. If we do branding, which one of these 4 levers are we going to move, and by how much? And by the way, if you like where this video is going, do yourself a favor and click the like button so YouTube will understand you like this kind of stuff, and it will put more of this type of videos on your feed. Yeah, go on, click the like button. I wait. We don't have all day. Come on, click it. All right, good. Let's move on. So with branding, basically it's a tree. Why? Because what branding does, it goes to change the customer acquisition cost. It creates more trust. So what it does, it makes it easier for you to acquire a customer. It doesn't change at all your fulfillment cost. It doesn't change your operational cost, and it doesn't really help to increase the customer lifetime value. Maybe a tiny bit if you have really a well-established brand, but in case of smaller companies, small mid-sized companies, it doesn't really move the needle on customer lifetime value. So we take this number here and we put it here, so branding is a 3. Now positioning is a different story, because positioning actually helps us to decrease the customer acquisition cost, but also it helps us to change the fulfillment cost in the moment we switch positioning to a different type of offer. And also, by deciding what we want to sell, and this again, it's part of positioning, it can help us to change the customer lifetime value. So I would give it a 6. 3 points we take from here, 2 points we take from here, and 1 point we take from here. Or we can take 1 point from here, 2 points from here. It doesn't matter. It's not like a precise math. It's just to give you the idea of how these different activities have different impact on your business. Let's see SEO. SEO is a 3 because it changes only the customer acquisition cost. It's marketing. It's the same is with social media here. See? So social media is a 3 because it doesn't change any of these. It just changes the customer acquisition cost. Lead gen, same story. You acquire a lead, so all the effort you put in lead gen, it's to decrease the customer acquisition cost. It doesn't change any of these 3. Email automation is a little bit different because it does help with customer acquisition cost. Like if you're following up with email automation, it will bring down the customer acquisition cost, and it can help in some ways to also decrease the customer fulfillment cost, because the salespeople don't have to do all the follow-up work manually, and it can help to sell more of your other products or services, thus increasing the customer lifetime value. So email automation takes at least 1 point from here and 1 point from here, so it's a 5. And then we have conversion content. Now, conversion content, you can see it as a sales enablement content, and it is one of the core services we offer. Basically, we interview salespeople and we make videos and blog posts that they can use to talk to the customers and talk to the customers in a way that can be automated, so they do not have to do it themselves all the time. This creates a relationship with the customer before the sales rep is actually going on a call with them, and this is pretty powerful. So it helps to reduce the customer acquisition cost, it helps to reduce the customer fulfillment cost, and it can help, as we have seen in the case of the automation, to increase the customer lifetime value. So this is a 6. And then we have CRO and research, conversion rate optimization and research, which also is a 6 because it definitely reduces customer acquisition cost, and it can help us to spot places where we can tweak the offer to reduce the fulfillment cost and even create more products or different products to increase the customer lifetime value. And then we come to offer design. Now, offer design is an 8. Why? Because it's the only one thing that can change this and this and this, and in a big way. Because if I change my offer, I can change entirely the cost of fulfillment, and I can also change the customer lifetime value. So here, this could be even a 9. Let's say 3 plus 2 is 5, and then 3 points from here, but it could be even 5. So let's take 8 just to be conservative. Then we have sales. Sales is a 5 because it lowers the customer acquisition cost for sure. Like using salespeople to close a deal, it decreases the customer acquisition cost. And it will increase also the customer lifetime value, because in the moment you use salespeople to sell additional services, we can take 2 points from here and give it to sales. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Then you have processes and SOPs, which is a 3, because it can help us to lower a bit of everything, but really it doesn't move the needle that much. It's mostly increasing quality. It doesn't lower cost. And then we have product development, which is a 6, because by investing in product development, we can definitely reduce the customer acquisition cost and we can increase the customer lifetime value. So now that we have put some points, we can just summarize them and we segment them by point. And you see that on this side, you have all the easy activities. And on this side, you have all the hard activities. That's why everybody wants to do this, like branding, SEO, social media, lead gen, processes, and standard operating procedures. Like people are reaching out to you, offering you these services. Why? Because it's the easy services. And what does easy mean? It means that it doesn't change the status quo. You keep offering what you were offering before. And this, on this side, it's hard because you have to change. You have to change your product, you have to change your offer, you have to change your business infrastructure. So change, and it's different. It's different from what you already have. Now, I want you to understand that if you are stuck and your business is not growing, the solution is not making any of these activities here, because these activities won't change your condition. The activities you should be focusing on to push your business to grow are the activities on this side. Here at Leads and Conversion, we deal with these activities for our customers, and these are the activities I really suggest that you focus on, because they are the only activities that can bring your business to operate in a different position. So, in the end of the story, you have seen how using these 4 financial metrics can make a big impact on the way you make decisions, and how you can unstuck your business by doing these kind of activities. Now, this video is over. You can go ahead and watch the next one.